everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Jonathan Zaharek, your favorite hiker, and this is the most popular Adirondack High Peaks hiking YouTube channel. And today is a very special video. You might notice this video is somewhat long. Reason why is because this is your complete guide to winter gear, what I use, how to use it, for low altitude and high altitude winter hiking, but mainly for the winter 46 or any type of high peak hiking here in the Adirondack High Peaks, Green Mountains, White Mountains, heck, even the Rockies. Probably not Mount Everest, but either way, I recommend that you guys stay and watch the entirety of this video, because I'm not just going to show you what you need. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks of things you didn't even think about. So this is everything. You guys have requested this video and I'm so happy to finally bring it to you. But before we get started, let me just mention one thing. I've mentioned this previously. I am now an official licensed New York State guide. So if you or you know anyone that needs some guide assistance in the high peaks, I'm your go-to guy. I got the experience, I got the knowledge, and I got the personality, and I would love to help you on your journey to becoming a winter 46er or even just taking your family out to hike Mount Joe. Real quick, there might be some of you who have no idea who I am, so let me give you some background. I am a professional photographer here in the high peaks. I'm based in Lake Placid, New York, and I've been hiking the Adirondack High Peaks for maybe about 4 or 5 years now. I know that doesn't sound like a lot. At this moment, I have 221 high peak ascents. I have the winter 46 done. I did a single season winter 46 as well. Guys, check out my website. I got some awesome photos, brand new website down below. Check them out. Buy some Adirondack artwork for your wall or for your family. Click that like button and don't forget to share this video. So without further ado, let's get into the most detailed winter hiking gear guide video. If you don't know, remember that I have all 46 high peaks documented in the winter. So if you ever have questions about one, either shoot me a message on Instagram. Follow me there, by the way, because I post some incredible stories. I'm out in the high peaks almost every single day. I'll answer any questions you guys have. Message me there. Okay, anyways, so December 21st is right around the corner. At the time of this video, it is December 16th, 2020. I'm probably going to be kicking off the winter season by hiking McNaughton. And we haven't gotten too much snow yet. But the first and foremost, most important question, snowshoes. So let's go over the specific gear. Snowshoes, boots, and pack. So let's start there. This is the snowshoe I use. It is the MSR Evo Ascent. The reason why I use this snowshoe and why I don't use tubs, I guess would probably be your main question, is 1, I love the simplicity of this. 2, it's lighter than tubs, in my opinion. The plastics are a little bit stronger. It does have pretty great crampons on the bottom, but what I really do love is the simplicity of the straps and the fact that if one does break, you can easily just replace these. You don't even need to send the snowshoe back or anything. I did the single season winter 46 with these guys. I don't need to sharpen the crampons or anything, even though I might need to. And also, the most important thing I recommend when purchasing a snowshoe, whichever one you get, is having a heel lift. What this does is it raises your heel, I think 15 degrees, which basically improves your ability to go uphill by 15%. They're absolutely incredible. You do not want to hike in the high peaks without them. Also, all of this gear, every single thing that I'm reviewing, I'm not going to put links in the description of where to buy them. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. But if you're in Lake Placid, I recommend going to High Peak Cyclery. I actually work there part-time. Go there, shop around, ask for Brian, tell them I sent you. Most of this gear is for sale there at High Peak Cyclery. And honestly, everything else is pretty much just available online. This is the boot that I use. This is the Oboz Bridger insulated boot. The reason why I chose this one is I didn't really pick it out of a specific reason. I just knew it was a good boot and it was going to get the job done. I didn't go all out on a perfect winter boot, but it's done great for me and I've seen a lot of people use it. It's not Gore-Tex, but it is pretty waterproof, great insulation. My feet have never been cold in it. It's 200 grams of insulation. But I know what's also getting really popular right now is the Salomon X Ultra insulated boot. My girlfriend Olivia also uses that and she also hasn't had any problems. But remember, a good boot has to have a good sock. A darn tough mountaineering sock. Pretty much this is the most expensive, thickest darn tough sock you can get. It has a little thin foam lining on the inside. It's basically insulation. And when I put these guys on, they're amazing. I mean, my feet are sweating at 15 degrees when I'm walking into the trail. They're really great. So this mixed with the 200 gram insulated boot, I've never had a problem. And the backpack. This is the Mutant 38. This is what I used for the single season winter 46. It's not at all good for the summer. Reason being is because it has no ventilation in the back, and the water bladder system honestly isn't the best because when you put one in here, it takes up half the space. However, it is extremely light. It has incredible aluminum frame. It has places for your ice tools, ice axes, all your winter gear. It's just simple and light and gets the job done for winter hiking. Other than that, I do like Osprey a lot. Some people don't. Other people go with Deuter. They would be my second option, Deuter packs. Pretty much what you want to do, the two main things that I look for in a backpack is size. You don't want to go overkill, but you don't want the pack to take up half the weight of what you're carrying. And I do think people should have a separate pack for winter and summer hiking. Next up, clothing. We'll start with the bottom up. First, I did recommend the Darn Tough mountaineering socks. Obviously, you always want to have a backup pair. The next thing, gaiters. Everyone's asking, what gator should I get, Jonathan? The most popular option is Outdoor Research. However, I believe there is a much better and cheaper option. These people have been taking the winter gear community by storm, and they are the company Hillsound. Hillsound makes, I believe, the best micro spike on the market, as well as the best gaiter. This gaiter, super light, ripstop, waterproof, just like Outdoor Research. However, it actually has a waterproof zipper instead of Velcro. Just zips down. It flexes, it's beautiful. It doesn't have the little clamp locking system like Outdoor Research. I think those are unreliable. They pop open sometimes and they get frozen. This guy simply just clips in and adjusts. It's got a nice Velcro on the bottom and it's super lightweight. And again, I have been using these. I use them a whole single winter season. It only has one little tear, which I don't even notice. And I've already destroyed 2 Outdoor Research gaiters just in the summertime. So I recommend Hillsound. These guys are only $59. Next up, pants. There's 2 options here. You could either get a really nice water repellent outside layer pants and have a nice base layer underwear, or you could do what I do and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. These are the Eddie Bauer Winter Guided Lined Pants. They are a water repellent, stretchy outer shell with a fleece lining. There's only been 1 or 2 hikes in my entire life I've ever had to put on a base layer underneath this because it was -30 without the wind chill. But these guys keep me so warm. I only own 1 pair. I don't even own a second because you can use them like 5 times without needing to rewash them. And honestly, I actually own a lot of Eddie Bauer. A lot of people might not like that because there are better brands out there. But the thing is, I do believe for the price and the quality, Eddie Bauer is probably the best out there. They're always doing like 50% off sales and everything. I buy most of my down coats and pants and other jackets and layers from Eddie Bauer. I personally have never had an issue with any Eddie Bauer product, and they always get the job done right for me. But I pretty much just have a nice fleece-lined layer for the pants and a nice stretchy belt as well. Next, the chest, the upper body. Let's get this out of the way. No cotton. In fact, I even go one step further to say no polyesters or nylons. Organic materials are the best. For example, this is my base layer. This is a 100% merino wool icebreaker 150 rated merino wool base layer. This guy breathes and wicks sweat away faster than any product I've ever had. If you guys ever buy a base layer or even a mid layer, merino wool. It's expensive, but it breathes and keeps you warm like crazy, and it is perfect for the high peaks. So this is a merino wool base layer. If you go higher than 150, it's gonna get pretty thick and really warm, so I'd watch out for that because it won't breathe as well either. Then the second thing that I go for is a pretty standard fleece layer. This is also Eddie Bauer. It's their standard fleece coat, somewhat stretchy. I personally have never had an issue with it. There's some other really nice like zip coats that have like merino wool linings and stuff like that that are really great for mid layers. I pretty much just put a basic polyester fleece. And yes, I know I just said try to stay away from polyester and nylons, but that's with your base layers. Then once it starts to get nippy, I put my down coat on. I have a few down coats and I always have an extra because sometimes they get wet from sweat or from the clouds, and I need to put a second one on because once down gets wet, it doesn't dry off. You can also get storm down or water repellent down, which does help a lot. But I recommend getting a nice down coat, 650 fill down or higher. Again, this is the Eddie Bauer Storm Down 800. I also have a 650 down coat as well, but this guy would go over my fleece on top of my base layer, and this guy, so warm, nice and warm, down coat. There's some other great materials out there, like Primaloft materials. I know Arc'teryx and Mountain Equipment are doing some great outer coats, as well as Patagonia. So down isn't the only option, but it's my personal preferred option, specifically for the lightweightness of it as well. Then the last thing is the shell. The number one shell out there is pretty much the Arc'teryx Beta SV coat. But Arc'teryx makes probably the best shells out there. Mountain Equipment also makes some pretty darn good Gore-Tex Pro shells. What I use is just a higher end, again, Eddie Bauer raincoat. But this is a storm version coat. It has their Weather Edge technology, which is somewhat like entry-level Gore-Tex. But pretty much I just put this guy on, and the hard shell on the outside is pretty much supposed to stop the wind and keep all that warmth inside of you. I have a fleece-lined balaclava. Always have an extra balaclava because it's always going to freeze over and get hard. You can also turn it upside down and rotate it to get a new side, but always have a second one. The thicker, the better. There's also some good merino wool ones as well. In my hat, I have a fleece-lined Outdoor Research Polar Tech cap. Very, very warm, and never hike without it. Next, food and water. One of the questions I get asked the most is, Jonathan, how do I keep my water from freezing? Well, there's a step A and a step B. First thing I would recommend is being able to carry as much water as you can at one time, but don't overdo it because you also don't want to carry too much weight. So I try to meet in the middle. Instead of having 2 Nalgene's, I get just the larger 48-ounce Nalgene. The one thing the winter is really great at doing is tricking your hydration. You can get dehydrated really quick in the winter still, even if you don't feel like it. Just because it's cold and you're not sweating does not mean you're hydrated properly. So be wary of that. Bring as much water as you feel comfortable bringing. However, this is what I do. I take a 48-ounce Nalgene. I put about 90-degree water in it at the very beginning. I put a thick wool sock on top of it and then turn it upside down and put that in my pack. Why? Because water freezes from the top down. That way, whenever I want to drink the water, I just flip it around and it's good to go. If it's a pretty cold day or my water just for some reason froze or is getting really slushy, the reason why it's important to thaw it out is so you can drink more, because it's harder to drink water the colder it is. So what I do is I take a little lightweight thermos like this and I fill it with boiling water right before I go. I tighten it up and I put it in my pack. This is also a really great life-saving tool just in case. Get some plastic baggies or whatever, and let's say you had an appendage, your toes or your fingers were going numb and they were beyond recovery. If you didn't have hand warmers, or hand warmers are going to take way too long or whatever, you just take some of that hot water, put it in a pouch, maybe wrap some clothing around it, get it warm, and that can act as a heating thing. But what the point of the water is I take the boiling water and I pour it right into this. And my water's probably going to be like down here at that point, and so then it will refill it back up and will warm back up the room temperature. And it's boiling water. It's something that's nice and warm. Heck, you can flavor it with tea if you want as well. It's not that much extra weight, and it can go such a long way. Food. I personally haven't perfected this yet myself, but what's really popular are peanut butter and jellies. If you're allergic to peanuts, then I would recommend maybe beef sticks, cheese, chocolate, peanuts. Unfortunately, Cliff Bars turn into Cliff Rocks when you hike. I wouldn't recommend really many bars because they get super, super hard. I also eat a big breakfast before I go on my hikes. Majority of my winter hikes start prior to 4 a.m., so it's really hard for me to eat when I get up, but I still try to eat as much as I can, especially carving up the day before. Next thing we'll talk about are headlamps. Always have a backup headlamp, always have extra batteries, especially in the winter because the cold does weird things. Here's my secondary headlamp, my primary headlamp in the summer, but in the winter, my primary headlamp is this guy, and this is what I've used in every single one of my videos. I've had so many questions about this. Guys, this is the tricky thing. This is an Amazon headlamp. I paid 25 bucks for this thing. I don't know how many lumens it is. I think it's like 3,200 lumens or like 30,000 lumens. I know that's a big number, but it's something like that. And it had 5 stars and like 600 reviews. I got it. Personally, I've never ever had an issue with it, and I am mind blown. It's rechargeable. It's a stadium light. in brightness, and that lasts for me, even in the winter, 7 to 8 hours. It's a tank. I don't know why. I trust it. But if you want a lighter headlamp, I would recommend getting a headlamp that is weather resistant and rechargeable. However, my secondary headlamp is the Petzl Attic 350. It's got 3 modes, pretty simple, pretty lightweight, and I do think it's important to have a bright headlamp and a controllable headlamp. Always have hand warmers with you, and also, if you can, pack a little small foldable Z-Light pad. They fold and they open up like this big. They're little Z things like this big, and they're an insulated pad. And the reason why those are good, because if you need to sit down, it's really great to sit down on something warm and not snow. Always have a power bank for your phone in case it dies. Kind of transitioning into the next thing with that, some more gear things. GPS system. Other than your physical map, it's really great to have like a Garmin InReach or a Garmin InReach Mini. If you're like me and you know where you're going all the time, I use this guy, which is a Spot Gen 3. It does have a subscription. Most of your GPSs that have an SOS will have a subscription. They're not super expensive, but pretty much I always have this guy either tracking me or I just have it off and stored away, fully charged, and it has the SOS button in case of emergencies. If in case of an emergency and you need to stand on the trail, I recommend having an SOL bivvy. This is a thermal bivvy, waterproof, windproof, very, very lightweight and compact, and will pretty much act as a secondary hard shell around your body and will keep you warm longer. I talked about microspikes before. In the winter, a lot of approaches will just be done with microspikes, obviously, unless, you know, it's like snowshoes are like, holy crap, yeah, we need snowshoes to start off hiking to Marcy Dam. But these here are Snowline microspikes, but again, I recommend Hillsound. Catula is good. I think they're too expensive. Snowline makes microspikes just as good as Catula, and they're like $50, not $80. Hillsounds are a little bit more expensive, but I think that you get what you pay for in that sense. I've never personally needed to use these. These aren't actually my actual crampons. I actually have nicer crampons than these, but these are crampons, you know, so like real crampons. Again, I don't use these. These are a piece of junk, what I'm holding right here, but you get the idea of what this is. This would basically be like if your trails are just coated with super thick ice, and we've had a crazy freeze. The snow is super packed hard. I always have this guy with me if I need to drop my poles to go up a summit or something like that. For example, let's say you're on Haystack. I wouldn't bring my trekking poles because Haystack is a very rocky peak to traverse and go up once you're on Little Haystack, and to go down Little Haystack and all that stuff. So I just drop my trekking poles so I put them on my pack. So that way I have all hands accessible, and I have my mountaineering axe to help me if I fall or if I need assistance on the ice. This is always great because I know going up things like Allen's Slide, Cliff, the Saddleback Cliffs, going up and down Basin, Haystack, this thing could always come in handy. So I totally recommend having one of these just in case. Next, gloves. I always have a 3 glove layering system. I have an approach glove, a mid-hike glove, and a summit glove. These are my approach glove. They are Mountain Equipment guide gloves. They're really thin. It's pretty much just like a fleece glove. That does have touch screen ability, but my hands do not generally actually get super cold all the time. So I just put on these nice thin approach gloves, and I just hike in basically until I think it's going to be getting colder and more inclement, and then I'll switch to my mid-hike gloves, which look something like this. They're pretty much the same idea, but a lot thicker. These guys are Gore-Tex. These are Scott gloves. I do love these guys. They're a nice fleece-lined, great ergonomics and handling, and I would say I generally would probably wear these guys if it was around 0 to 15 degrees. And then there's my super expensive summit gloves. These here are the Mountain Equipment Citadel mitts. They have a double inside. The inside of the first one is like complete 100% wool, super warm. I've freaking done the entire McIntyre range just in this lining. It's so lightweight, water resistant, lobster claw, and I can just go in and out like that, super easy. The filling on the inside of these gloves is entirely polyester, but it's still super warm. So this mitt right here generally goes inside of this mitt. My hands have never ever been cold. Another glove I would recommend would be the Marmot Expedition glove. It has a goat skin outside. It has a goat skin exterior with goose down feathers on the inside, and it's lightweight and it's so warm and it's so nice. Ski goggles. Ski goggles, if the winds are hollowing up top, the wind chills are below 0, you want to avoid getting frostbite or wind burn on your face, ski goggles. You get what you pay for, guys. People are like, how do I keep my goggles from freezing? There's really only one possible answer: ventilation. If you want 100% skin coverage, your goggles have to ventilate. These are Julbo goggles, and they actually have the ability to pop out. And so these guys pop out. I put them right on. Really nice goggles. I think these guys are like $150, and you can ski with them too, obviously. Always have a first aid kit with you. I needed one on the last hike that I just did, Haystack Base in Saddleback with Olivia, because she actually slipped on ice, hit her knee, and opened a wound that was already healing, and she was bleeding a lot. Always great to have a waterproof med kit. Not overkill, just enough. As well as a lighter or waterproof matches. Again, you never know what's gonna happen. Last but not least, trekking poles. This past winter, I used the Black Diamond Expedition 2 flick lock poles. These guys aren't collapsible. I recommend finding a trekking pole that's collapsible, but you do not want the twist lock ones. Guys, not even for the summer. Those types of poles are just unreliable and they break easier. I always recommend getting clamping poles like this, maybe even Z poles as well, but ones that can collapse, because these guys are just not fun, and these are actually designed for skiing. Make sure you get baskets and make sure your rubber tips are off, so that way the metal tip can show. So that way the metal tip is available to dig in the ice. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I might have forgot one or two things. If I did, shoot me a message on Instagram, ask my opinion. And if you have any questions about current conditions or what mountain to hike next or what to expect on a mountain, ask me. Not in the comments. Ask me on Instagram. That is the best way to contact me, or you could email me as well. But I think that pretty much sums it up, guys. I'm excited for winter hiking. I know you are too. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, and obviously, like, that's subjective to when I'm uploading this video. Happy New Year, 2021. Looking forward to it. If you see me on the trails, feel free to say hi. Send photos of your journey. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. I'm Jonathan Zaharek. Thank you guys so much for your support on this channel. I love you all. I really, really do. You guys are awesome. I'll see you next time.